Shekhar, do you have any prior experience as a BA?
No, I'm a fresher.
You're kind of fresh. Okay.
I should start.
Yeah, I would be typing in the questions. After that, you can start.
Okay. Actually, I had a course in undergrad of like software engineering and one in masters, and I had a course like software and data engineering. And it got it made me interested in doing like BA because the requirement in the communication part, talking with stakeholders, and making the systems flow easily. That was my basic intention. So I wanted to be a BA.
Okay.
The basic thing about business analysis work is like you start with a just start talking with stakeholders, with clients, get requirements, and do elicitation of requirements. Talk with other vendors, what kind of software they want, what kind of application they want, and forward it to a development team, and after that do testing thing. And if they are using like waterfall model or agile model, and they have to keep taking meeting and interview one-on-one with stakeholders and developers to get things sorted out and start and yeah, that's it.
Okay.
Which kind of techniques are you talking about?
Interviews, workshops.
Okay, okay. There are techniques like interview, workshop, brainstorming, observation, shadowing,
Mm-hmm.
and you can have an informal or formal communication to get the requirements. These are all the techniques, and even there are techniques like agile framework and like waterfall model. You can use like a traditional or agile framework. These are the techniques or frameworks.
No, these are not techniques. These are methodologies. Agile and waterfall. Okay. So what's the difference between focus group session and brainstorming?
A focus group session is kind of like a two or four people where the communication is for a small task or activity. And for brainstorming, it is like generating and getting ideas from different group of people, communities, from different teams,
Mm-hmm.
and a focus group where uh, ideas are developed and conduct, and they are improved occasionally or like missing.
Okay.
Um,
So for focus group, the participants that you would be inviting in that meeting would typically belong to same background. If it's a focus group for technical people, you would invite technical people. If it's a focus group for functional people, you would be inviting the functional people, wherein the agenda of your meeting would be fixed. But in brainstorming session, you can invite participants from mixed background, and it is more about brainstorming a particular idea on a particular given topic. You can generate as many ideas as much basis on different users that you have invited. You would get different perspectives around that idea.
class diagram is a pyramid type of diagram that describes the structure of the system or software,
Mm-hmm.
and it is the relationship among objects or entities, and for I used in my undergrad for a databases for developing databases for schemas Snowflake or star schema.
I didn't get that. What is star schema and how it is related to class diagram?
The star schema is entity relationship diagram.
Mm-hmm.
For that, we did use a class diagram for databases, relational databases.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And detail,
Yeah, please go on.
yeah, and it is basically a lesson in groups concept where objects are used for to
Mm-hmm.
communicate means the relationship between objects and their attributes,
Mm-hmm.
and each class is represented by a rectangle and having subdivisions,
Mm-hmm.
and they can be extend or include things,
Mm-hmm.
include attributes basically.
Okay.
Can they may have interfaces means from one object to another object.
Okay.
User stories, use cases,
Mm-hmm.
like requirement documents like BRD, FRD,
Mm-hmm.
and then request for proposal,
Mm-hmm.
then SRS, system requirement specification,
Mm-hmm.
and business case can be also included, right,
Yeah.
for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and project charter kind of thing to give the overview of the project.
No, project charter is never created by BA. It is created by PM.
Okay.
And what about the design artifacts?
Design of prototypes,
Mm-hmm.
also UML
Mm-hmm.
and PPTs for that.
Okay.
Different data flow. Sequence diagram it goes from one process to another.
Mm-hmm.
And data flow is like graphical representation, and it is used to create a core flow diagram as compared to sequence diagram, where in sequence diagram
Mm-hmm.
that is the main thing where you can develop one part and go to the next part.
Okay. Okay. Mm. So the difference basically between data flow diagram and sequence diagram is that sequence diagram You have to read everything in a sequence manner. One step would come
Okay.
after it, but when it comes to data flow diagram, you can read it from any end. It's give a high level view of the entire system, so there is no such sequence that you have to follow in terms of reading the data flow diagram, unlike sequence diagram.
Uh-huh. Okay. Indeed is like object and a place where data can be stored, and attributes are a part of an existing entity. They are like they are like options types.
Mhm.
Attributes and like for entity there can be like one or more attributes.
Right, they are always associated with each other.
So, and it is like acronym for independent, negotiable, and valuable, and where they are used for like testing purposes. Okay.
No, what does invest
So yeah,
stands for?
it's an independent,
Mhm.
negotiable, and valuable.
It's not valuable, it's verifiable.
Very
E stands for?
estimable, and K stands for small, and T stands for like test.
Right. Now what are these?
They are the requirement thing means.
They are the characteristics of good requirements.
Oh yeah, they
So they correspond to characteristics.
are, transactional requirements are from like moving from one enterprise to another enterprise. Means if you want to change, if you want to change and like a state of one software to another, then what are the requirements of another software that we need to get acquainted with? For example, like a data conversion and data conversions, because there may be constructor data in a system, and if we need to transfer it to another system, that we can do transactional requirements where is the another system compatible with that structured data? What kind of data it is? How will the data flow in the another system? This requirement we need to consider for transactional requirements.
Okay. Mm.
Texture is a tool like I'm proud of.
What are interactive prototypes?
It is like a GUI for like a customer clients where BA develop it on a um, interactions for client and all, so
Mhm.
that the client are satisfied with the GUI part of the website or not.
Okay, so here is my
It's one.
feedback. Okay,
Okay.
fair enough. Here is my feedback. So you are aware about the concepts. The only thing is that at this point of time, I'm rephrasing it. At this point of time, you need to work on framing the correct sentences. So there is some issue in terms of framing the correct sentences, and also
Mm-hmm.
include few more keywords when you are answering this question, and support it with some examples. So if you
Okay.
are facing challenges in terms of taking it I mean answering this question spontaneously, so what I would
Mm-hmm.
suggest is list down some of the common questions that you would be having,
Okay.
write
Mm-hmm.
answers to them in a notebook, and try to read those answers 2 or 3 times, and then try to answer those questions. So this way it would build up your confidence. I'm aware that you are having good understanding around the concepts, and you are also having that much knowledge in terms of appearing for any business analysis interview. But only thing is that
Mm-hmm.
I find the confidence level at a downside. So in order to boost
Okay.
your confidence, this is what you could do. Write down the answers for the respective questions and read it 3 4 times. It would also help you build correct framing of sentences. So that would be my feedback. Okay. So I want this improvement on our next mock interview.
Okay. Sure. Thank you.
Who wants to come next? Mm, Shashank.
I'll come next. Prajakti.
Prajakti. Okay. Prajakti, what is your experience?
Um, like you mean work experience?
Yes.
Okay. Uh, I have a background of accounting, but I've never worked in accounting. I've worked in the healthcare industry, like healthcare, allied healthcare school, for like 7 years. So that's what I have, like working with students and like basically I did externship for students, like placing them in the hospitals and doctors' offices. So basically all administrative work for a healthcare school.
Okay.
As a business analyst for a healthcare industry, like especially where I was working,
Mhm.
I would have had the when I was placing basically the students in the hospital. So what exactly the requirements were needed for a student to be there, uh, would I think that would have helped me, so that it would have helped the student program as well. I think so.
Okay. And what's the solution proposition that you have in order to, uh, you know, rectify this process, the challenge that you faced?
To rectify this, like do whenever we get a new hospital uh, affiliation, we would know all the basic requirements what the hospital requires for the students, and accordingly we would have it in our theory and in our hands-on practice for the students, so that they would be able to perform well when they go on to the real industry, real field.
Okay, fair enough.
My approach would be like to basically understand how the banking system works for that particular project, what are exactly they're requiring for as a business analyst for the particular product they are building, and work on that and get as much as more information as possible.
Okay. Mm, okay.
Um, the terms that we sorry, the tools that we would use for this would be like Jira.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
uh, Jira, then Excel.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Um, Sorry, I don't know the answer for this question.
Okay.
User stories are used in agile methodology and
Mhm.
um, to ensure that your user stories are proven. I didn't get the second half of the question.
Okay. So we have multiple rounds of approval for a user story. Only after that we would be forwarding those user stories to the development team for implementation. So what the unique thing that you would do that you would get it approved in one go itself without needing multiple rounds of approval from a from the same stakeholder, not from multiple stakeholders. Okay.
Business analyst would typically do a requirement elicitation phase with the solution assessment and validation. Um, they would do mm, the missing documents, like whatever are uh, in that particular phase, whatever is missing, so they can get those requirements again, and they can strategize.
Okay, fair enough. So here is my feedback. So the feedback would be considering your experience band. No matter it is not directly from business analyst background, but you have considerable amount of experience working in a specific industry. Now, when you have some experience in a specific industry, for that matter, it could be healthcare or whichever industry, you won't get direct questions in interview. No matter you have put lot many things on your resume that I am aware about UML, I am aware about agile, I am aware about requirement analysis or requirement gathering, you won't get direct questions. Rather, you would get indirect questions in order to assess your understanding, not your experience. For example, if we consider these 6 questions. In the first question, what the interviewer is trying to assess over here is how much keen are you in terms of understanding a specific business process, which is core to your business analysis work. So let's say you are saying that you are working for a specific project for last 5 years or 6 years, and you are unable to explain them the end-to-end process, then it would be a question mark for them. No matter you don't have experience in business analysis, that they can consider. But what they are looking for is your interest in that particular work. How interested were you in that particular work? Are you aware about some of the processes? So make it a note whenever you are asked such question, that can you come up with some common process, what are the challenges, like I gave feedback to Shekhar, sorry, who was it, Shekhar earlier. You can also write the questions and the necessary answers in a specific notebook, and ensure that you memorize those things. So it shouldn't be like that they ask you a question and you are blank in front of the interview. So this is the common questions that I feel they would ask you, not from a business analyst perspective, but to assess whether you are, how much you are interested in your work as a business analyst. Now coming to second question, uh, we do not have a particular project in healthcare domain. Now, no matter, it's a fictional question, rather I would say, they may have a project in healthcare domain, and they want to know or they want to understand whether you are adaptable to any given situation or not. If given a situation, you are not given a project in healthcare domain, or you are given a project in banking domain, how much interested and how much adaptable you are in terms of grasping that new domain. So in this, you can start with listing out the activities in terms of your approach, how you would be approaching learning a new domain. So you can start with that. I would first start with document analysis, followed by I would do some sort of consultation with my senior consultants who are part of the domain competency group. Then I would do some organizational process assets analysis, and I would do as much research and development in terms of understanding the domain through internal portals or through public domain, Wikipedia. As much as information I could collect, I would collect in that particular domain. So it shouldn't take me that much time, but yes, minimal guidance is needed. You can answer it this way: what are the typical activities that you would be doing? So document analysis, domain competency group, these are some of the keywords that you could include in your answer, so that it gives the interviewer the confidence that okay, she is the right person who can well manage or well handle to the situation, given given a circumstances wherein things are not proper, or there is a transition between one particular domain to another particular domain, she can handle it well. So that is the ideology behind asking this question. Now coming to the third question, are you aware about requirements management tool? So you can say, even though you haven't worked on that particular tool, but if you are saying that I am aware about Jira and you are unaware about requirement traceability matrix, then that is again a question mark. So either you say that I am not aware about any particular tool, but I am aware about requirements management process. So you can say that in requirements management process, we interlink the high level requirement with the low level documentation. Then the relevant corresponding requirement design artifacts like UML use cases, and everything is connected by a unique ID. You can explain them the process. But if you are taking a name of a particular tool like Jira, then they would be keen to know how you have managed the requirement management through Jira. So you have to be prepared for that part. Coming to question number 4, what is the significance of UML and how would you decide which UML diagram type is best for a given situation? So in other words, they are assessing you whether you know about UML or not. So you can say that UML are specifically used to model system from an user's perspective. Depending on the number of users or the type of users who would be interacting with the system, we model them with the help of UML. Now, since it's a unified modeling language, it is easy for every users to understand, whether it's a business user, whether it's a technical user. It's a common language that everyone can interpret. And the beauty of the language is that it is represented in graphical notation. So you don't have to read 1 page or 2 page text for that. Just one graphical notation and you get the gist of what is the process all about. Now, depending on the situation, you can say, I am aware about a state chart diagram, or I am aware about sequence diagram, or I am aware about class diagram. So depending on the situation, you can take 2, 3 names. So this way, it would give confidence to the interviewer that okay, she is aware about what is UML and what are the different types of diagrams that fall within UML. Now, coming to question number 5, what do you know about user stories and what would you do to ensure that your user stories are approved? Now here, the interviewer is not interested in whether you know about user story or not. Rather, the interviewer is interested in how well you can write a user story for them. Now, how well can you write the user story? Your user story should be having a well-defined acceptance criteria. It should follow the invest principle, and you should have enough, requirement elicitation session in terms of writing that user story before sending it to approval. So these are some of the keywords that you can use: invest principle and acceptance criteria. If you say these two keywords, then the interviewer is convinced. No need to say much beyond that. Now, coming to question number 6, what a business analyst would typically do in requirement elicitation phase. Now, during requirement elicitation phase, you tend to do lots of elicitation activity. You first start with your document analysis. You do your homework in terms of understanding the project and the context of the project. Then you conduct small interview session, brainstorming session, focus group session. So interviewer is keen to know whether you are aware about the process that happens in requirement elicitation phase or not. So this would be the way how you should answer this question and the perception on which you can basis on which you can answer these questions. Now, this is not the case with everyone. Depending on the experience, I am asking you questions. So that's the reason first I'm asking you the experience and then I'm asking you the question. So this feedback is not for everyone. Rather, this is an individual feedback to whoever I'm giving.
Thank you.
Okay, so I want this improvement in our next mock interview.
Sure.
Okay, so who wants to come next?
I'll
Yes,
go.
Shashank here. I'm
Samir.
going next.
Sorry, who is
Shashank.
Samir.
Shashank? Okay,
Yeah.
Shashank, help me with your experience.
So I've had internship experience at the Grant Thornton, and over there I was working as a business analyst, actually a junior one. I was dealing with Informatica as the the daily driver, and also SAP Business Objects. Um, so yeah,
Okay, for how
those
long?
are the two software I was using. For about 2.5, 3 months. That was actually the first time I came across Informatica. So it took a while to get a grip of it, but yeah, I was able to deliver at the end. So okay. Wait, within your world, within your project. Okay, so to start with, I started to understand the transformations that are there in Informatica. There were a few, like aggregator transformation, expression transformation, filter transformation, joiner transformation, lookup transformation. So using these transformation, I was starting to understand very carefully, what a workflow looks like. Because I was junior at it, so they gave me a pre-designed workflow, and they told me that you need to make a little changes on it. So the main change that was there was a software called a Heartbeat, which basically connected to us every day at 4 a.m. in the morning. It used to download the file in a .csv, and then it used to get loaded onto Informatica server. What that would then do is do all the transformation and put it on the downstream. Now my work here was
from heartbeat to informatica, that middle area. Out there, we needed to basically figure out that which is good file and which is a bad file. So to do that, I use batch programming, and to filter out the two, the good file and bad file. So there were a specific set of you know uh, conditions that were needed to be satisfied to say that it's a good file. So once we
Um,
got the so I was explaining that what where was I? Sorry. I was explaining that okay, that my major work was to understand which is a good file and a bad file when it was being sent from Heartbeat server to the Informatica server. So once for that I used batch programming. Once that was done, the next step was to segregate data using transformation. As the transformation went through, we need to basically put data on different tables and then put it onto the downstream respectively. So there was not one downstream, there were like several downstream, and depending on the downstream requirement, we had to segregate that data out to that point.
oh, fair enough.
So yeah. Uh, so stakeholder analysis, basically, um, not really actually. I was an intern over there, so the upper management, they handled that part, and it just gave me. So I was not directly talking with the stakeholder,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, I'm sorry, but I did not conduct stakeholder analysis in my work.
Okay.
Functional checklist. So, okay, so e- so evaluating the wait, okay, what are the checklists would you for the correct verification document? Okay, so evaluating product, writing functional specification, uh, uh, okay, sure. Okay, I'm not sure about this name. I'm sorry.
Okay.
So the neural diagram include is basically something that um, can I like I'll give a actual real life example, okay?
Mm-hmm.
In our daily, so everyone can understand. So include it's like something like when you sneeze, you close your eyes, right? So that is something that happens with it. It's
sneeze and you close your eyes. It just happens.
Mm-hmm.
And extend is something that is optional. Like when you sneeze and someone says bless you, that is optional. They can or cannot say it. So that is the core understanding about include. For example, now let's get a little technical here.
Mm-hmm.
When you hit login, right,
Mm-hmm.
automatically there is a verifier that's going on in the background.
Mm-hmm.
So, but extend is when you do login. If you enter the wrong password, then it actually tells that wrong password inputted, or it gives that error message. But not every time. Only and only when you put a wrong password. So that is extend.
Okay.
Hmm. Okay, so epic. Hmm. So I know for a fact that epics is basically the most generalized part uh, in which uh, the process granulates as you go through in. So while writing a user story, an epic would probably be the most generalized section. Then there would be more swim lanes in the user stories. So there'll be in one epic there might be two swim lanes, and in each swim lane there might be like story one, story two, and then another swim lane there would be like story three, story four. So that basically is epic.
Okay.
So uh, mm, okay, I'm not sure about this, but uh, when a team meets together and there's a user story, so once the user story's criteria are met
Mm-hmm.
and the user story has been perfectly defined, that's done in Agile.
After implementation.
Uh, so user story, yeah, after implementation. So, uh, that- so first of all, waterfall model is like you need all requirements at the beginning. So a good requirement would be uh, they should be um, all the necessary. Hang on. So the requirements should basically be clear. They should be as clear as possible at the beginning. Uh, there should be all the necessary requirements, not requirements that are just fancy but absolutely necessary. They should be consistent and complete, um, and they should be feasible, of course, because waterfall, you cannot expand, so it should be feasible at the beginning itself. Uh, and they should be okay. Um, non-redundant. Yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah. So they should be unambiguous, testable, clear, correct, understandable. Then feasible, atomic.
Mm-hmm.
It should be necessary. It should be independent, and 2, 3 more. So these are some of the characteristics that you should say.
Okay. Mm, context behind. So I actually don't understand the question here.
Why would you
What
do
is context?
requirements designing?
Why would I do requirements designing?
Yeah.
Okay. So why would I do requirements gathering? Is that very close to that?
Requirement gathering is like writing the requirement document. Designing is like modeling your requirement. UML, use
Oh,
cases,
okay.
UI screens.
Right. So, okay, fine. So requirement designing basically, making a model, iterative modeling process. Basically, it is like a communication bridge between the designers, the BAs, as well as the stakeholders. Once a BA creates a model, then the developer team also understands that which direction this, this software or whatever is being developed is headed, as well as the stakeholder understands that, okay, fine, this is what I need and that is what I don't need. And because, textual understanding is a bit more hard than just looking up at like a mock-up or a model that has been built. So the client also gets a clearer image, so does the developer team. So it's like a win-win situation.
Okay.
Well, although I'm glad you say that, but Informatica, although I really enjoyed doing as much as I did, I think I want to stick to being a BA. BA interests me a lot more. Creating documents, sharing information, speaking with people, getting deals done, and this is what I think I am. I think I'm a little more concentrated towards communication rather than you know yeah. I think I would like to make deals and not sit over there. Just
Perfect.
sit over there.
Perfect. So here's my feedback. You are firm
Yeah.
on your decisions, like what you want to do, and you also have the supporting justification around why you want to be a BA. Don't lose it. That's the confidence you need to stick to when you are going for an interview. You would get unnecessary
Thank you.
questions like this. So that is a good thing. Secondly, in terms of answering the questions, your length of answer was quite good. You also ensured that the right set of keywords are used. So I wouldn't say, it was average. It was certainly a good thing in terms of your understanding about business analysis. So few things that I want you to improve on is like support all your questions with the respective examples. You did give examples and they were really beautiful examples. Support few more examples in the context of what you had worked as an intern, if possible. If it is not possible, you can give any real world example like the login screen example which you gave, or that blinking of eye example which you gave. That is really fascinating to the interviewer. So
Thank you.
overall, good work. Okay.
Actually, I'm running cold, and that's the only example that came on my head.
Okay,
Yeah.
not an issue. Who wants to come next?
I'll go, Samir.
Samir. Samir, help me with your experience.
So I'm a fresher. My background is in industrial and manufacturing.
Mm-hmm.
I do not have any experience in this.
Okay.
Okay, so there are many things which fascinated me about this business analyst. The one of the main thing was working with different teams and different people. Like when we do the a requirement gathering or elicitation, then talking with the stakeholders and the things which related with the BA, like working with different teams and people. The other thing was the impact that the BA does in any kind of project or any organization, that like a BA is one of the main like one of the main things in those projects or those organizations. They are the middle part or the main part. The other thing was understanding the clients and their need. I do not have any experience in that, but that part did intrigue me much, that how these things works, and the logic behind it, the understanding behind it. And the main thing was the continuous improvement and evaluation. So when we like propose any kind of project or any new thing, then the main goal is to achieve any kind of improvement or the evaluation in if it is a like a current project, or we introduce any kind of new product. So as being an industrial background and being an industrial engineer, the continuous improvement and evaluation is what I'm attracted towards, and naturally. And the other thing was the new challenges. So as like I've said, I do not have any kind of experience in this one, but this created a new challenge for me, which I personally like. And yeah, so that is why.
Oh, great.
Sorry to interrupt, Sunil. Can we get a copy of all the questions that you are putting in our on text?
It is being recorded. These are something that I am randomly thinking and typing.
Sure. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so I think one of the first things that I would do is observe, as if like I'm joining as an entry level or at a junior level as a BA. So the first thing I would do is observe, then like observe, or as we say, active job shadowing.
Mm-hmm.
Then the I would I would see that like read the statement of work, like what the day for someone like me would be over there. Then the you know I will pick up the lessons that I've learned. Then I have I'll try to be, if I'm joining a team which is from like from there, and I'm joining as new, then I try to be like as early as possible comfortable with the team and be the team player. Then the part that the BA part, which is working on the requirements and like making the documents and all of those things. So I'll try to be get in all of the required activities of a BA as early as possible. And then the main, like as I've said in the previous question, that there are few things which intrigue me in pursuing this one. So one of the thing was talking to the stakeholders and understanding in those things. So I'll start working on that, and if it is permitted, and yeah, so all of those things which which like a junior level or entry level at position I would do.
Okay, great.
What are the typical contents? So I think functional specific per the purpose of the document, the process of the document, and the methods that uh, to follow in that project.
Mm-hmm. So what are the typical contents it have? The sections.
Okay. Like requirements, like what are the requirements, and what is the objective of the the project, and then what is the test plan. Then I guess the like the design change request, or uh, the final, what would be the final product.
Okay.
What are the pre okay. uh, Sorry, I do not have any knowledge of this.
Okay. So precondition are the conditions that you would like to meet before executing a use case. For example, if I want to enroll myself to a mobile app, so what are the precondition that I want? The precondition is that I would be having an active internet connection. I should be having a cell phone. I should be having the app to be available in the Play Store so that I can install it. and only after installing I should be able to register it. Those are precondition. Post condition is that after registering successfully, what the app would show you on screen, like your profile or your dashboard, those would be part of your post condition. So whenever you write a use case, it has to be supported by precondition and post condition.
Okay, thank you. Mm, I guess user requirements,
Mm-hmm,
stakeholder requirements,
mm-hmm,
then I guess system or a technology requirement,
mm-hmm,
and transition requirement.
mm-hmm.
Um,
Right. But the most
yeah,
important is your functional and NFRs, non-functional requirement.
functional. In scope, and where would you? I I do not have a particular answer, but I think in project management, uh,
It would be in BRD.
in BRD. Like how? So you want the steps?
Yeah, whatever you feel like.
Uh, I think this in scenario modeling, there will be, like I guess the list of assumptions that like that we do. Then the um, I'll use the Excel for this. Um, then list list all of those like different scenarios in over there. Then you know uh, yeah. So I'll use Excel and
Okay.
I
So what are
do
scenarios? In plain English, what are scenarios?
the different types or methods
Situations.
situations, right? Yeah.
Okay. Now, how do you model a situation? With the help of use case. Now, what are use case?
Okay.
They are part of UML. So with the help of UMLs, you would be doing scenarios modeling, UML use case.
Scenario. Okay.
So you may not get direct questions, you would get indirect questions as well.
Oh, yeah. Okay. And criteria, like for what?
User stories.
So, like, acceptance criteria would be like those, like how to create acceptance criteria, or like what should be in it. So, like the uh, acceptance criteria consists, like, three parts: inputs, processes, and outputs.
Mhm.
And in the inputs, like, there will be things like, entering a value, or pushing any kind of button. The process will be, how to like how to do that. And the output will be, once it is testable, then, like, it is done.
Okay, so acceptance criteria is a measure to assess the completeness of a user story, whether the user stories that you have written and whatever it has been implemented, whether the user story is complete or not. For that we write the acceptance criteria. So what you said, input, process, and output, that is the format of acceptance criteria that you should always
Okay.
say. But before that, you should give a background like why we need an acceptance criteria.
Okay. Yes.
Okay, so here is my feedback. It was good. I mean, you are clear about the concepts in terms of the questions that I have asked you. Only thing is that you can include few more keywords in your answer. That would be my suggestion. Other than that, it was really good.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Okay. Help me with your experience, Rituja.
Yeah. So I don't have like much previous experience. But I have done a lot of uh, uh, like event management in non-profit organization. So in that I was from the starting, from everything until the end of that event, I was part of the planning and execution of it. I have done the large scale projects, so that's the only thing I have, and I'm more interested into going forward with agile and Scrum Master.
Okay.
Yeah, so this was one event which was a training camp in which I was part of the logistics team. I was running the logistics team. So the 3 months before the event, we started with the what are the logistics are going to needed for that event. So the number of people are needed, then uh, the other uh, things which are needed as part of that logistics, like staying arrangement or the food arrangement and everything. Then we came up with the team. The team was consisting of 4 people, which were given the different tasks. And then from there onwards, we started planning for each individual things in detail. Then we documented everything in the Google Sheet, where we were all updating our things as when we were going forward with like booking the facility, paying for them, or everything, follow up with those everything. So and at the time of those 8 days when I was on that campsite, I was the one who was responsible from morning to evening, taking care of different departments like the cooking department, the staying department, the
cleaning department, and in the end, in the afternoon, we used to have one meeting where we used to come together, everybody, all the four main people of the team, and then we used to discuss what are the things we are missing or anything is not working well. So in the evening meeting, we used to correct those and used to plan for the next day. So that's how we did. And after the event was done, we had one call in which we discussed overall how the event went and what we did incorrect and what we could improve on. And then we documented that in one document so that the next team, when it comes, they can see whatever we have done. What are the learnings from that?
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, the Scrum ceremonies there are four Scrum ceremonies.
Mm-hmm.
First is the sprint planning, then the daily stand-up. Then there is a sprint review where the developers they present whatever they have done, and there is a then retrospective where all after each sprint is done, the retrospective meeting is called to see what went well, what didn't go well, and what are the things which are going back to the product backlog. Yeah, if that particular user story is not able to complete in that particular sprint, then we try to evaluate why it couldn't go, because since in the stand-up meeting that should come up that there are some impediments by which the user story is not going to go. But then if that doesn't go in that particular sprint, then it might go to the next sprint, or again it will be reprioritized if it is really needed for the next sprint, or it can go in the back to the product backlog.
Okay, great.
Uh, uh, Backlog management is one of the technique which is used for reprioritization. Then Moscow prioritization is used where it consists of must have thing in the our this particular sprint. Should have, it's good to have that particular thing. Should have is the thing which is not like must have, but it is dependent on the first one. Could have is can be having in one of the things, and would have is it's good to have but it's not required at this point in time. So the Moscow prioritization, and then there was one I remember we did with Kano analysis, or I don't remember the exactly word, where we wrote down the user stories and we asked each stakeholders to write their priority for that. Then we added those priority things for that particular task, and whichever came to the highest number which we prioritize as a one, and
That is ranking.
that was the one of the yeah, that one was
Ranking.
ranking. Okay, yeah. Capabilities, I think the requirements which are asked by the stakeholders, which we need to have in our system, and feature, if anything, we can add more to make that customer more satisfied.
Okay.
I think the capability would go in the sprint backlog. Oh, sorry, not the release backlog, and the feature would go to sprint backlog.
Correct.
In order to check if the team is maintaining the constant pace in Agile, there would be a burn down chart, which will the Scrum Master will update after every stand up. That burn down chart would be basically I would say tasks on the vertical axis and the number of sprints on the horizontal axis, or the number of, and then they will count, and that how the chart will burn down, how the task is getting less and less with the iterations of the sprints going forward. And it will be also calculated by sprint velocity, how that particular sprint went. So the number of story points covered are in that particular those many number of sprints. That how we can also calculate the how the team is doing.
Perfect.
And it should be always increasing. While using this, and using splitting the user story, we will first go with the actors, then what are the things which are needed, or what are the, I would say, the processes they are following, and I think which other parameters we can consider. Actors would be the one, process would be the one.
Input, output, transactions. There are multiple.
Yeah, input, output. Yeah. So when we are answering this, should we answer in terms of like transactions, because these will be the based on the scenarios, right?
Right. If you could supplement your answer with some examples, that would be good.
Okay.
So you can refer the example in the PPTs itself. There are multiple examples.
Okay. I'm not aware, but exactly what decision analysis is. But do you mean like how the decision is made for particular acceptance or anything like that?
Decision analysis we understood in the form of a tree structure, wherein we took two solutions and compared it with different parameters, like in terms of monetary benefits, in terms of implementation, in terms of efforts, and then we concluded which one is good for us.
The one which we are writing in business case, like the options.
Right, you can consider that as well. So this is a decision analysis as a technique rather than any activity.
Okay.
Tools, task, and techniques.
Oh yeah, tool, task, and technique. Yeah.
Tools is something, the softwares that you are going to use, Task is the activity that you are going to conduct as a business analyst, and technique are the yeah, ways by which you would conduct this task.
Yeah, got it. Um, as a business analyst, I would like to, because I feel that I have that soft skill to interact with the people, get the information from them. I feel I have that confidence in going and talking to the people uh, because I have done that before uh, during my other project. So I feel I would give good justice to this business analyst role. And the career aspiration would be I would grow as a business analyst and then go into more into the Scrum methodologies or becoming a Scrum Master.
Okay, great. Fair enough. So my feedback would be your preparation is perfect, and only thing is that if you could support your answers with some examples, it would really be good in interview.
Okay.
Okay, who is left
Thank
now?
you.
Okay.
Well, I will go next. I'm Pranav.
Okay. Pranav, help me with your experience.
Yes.
Where
I don't have any prior experience.
Mhm.
I'm a fresh.
Okay, you are a fresher, and your educational background, is it into technical or management?
Yes, it's in CS.
Computer science. Okay.
Well, I had a course in my master's related to software engineering. So it had all that agile methodologies, uh, Scrum methodologies. So during that, I again became familiar with the stand-up meetings and all that because uh, my, uh, my professor gave me the project, which was a semester-long project, and we used to have daily stand-up.
Mm-hmm.
We used to conduct like office-like an environment.
Mm-hmm.
So we made that cardboard uh, user stories on the cardboards, like poster presentation kind of things. And after that, we went on to uh, develop projects using agile methodology. So that's where I like, got the interest, and I think I'm good with the communication skills. So I like interacting with people and getting the information.
Okay.
That's why I would like to be here. By checklist, do you mean that the list
What
of
you would do?
questions or
What would be your preparation?
okay? So I would study about the project that is in hand, and I will gather all the information uh, about the previous state of the current state of the project and why is it needed
Mm-hmm.
and what will be the benefits that will the company get after implementing these changes and go into the like prepare for the questions for requirements gathering sessions uh, depending on that the information I get.
Okay.
Well, there are like two observation techniques. One is active and one is passive.
Mm-hmm.
So in active, we can do job shadowing.
Mm-hmm.
So uh, say there is a senior business analyst and uh, like following him and checking what he's doing uh, and learning from that everyday process.
Mm-hmm.
And the passive would be like uh, observing all the stakeholders, what are they doing like every day, what their typical day consists of.
Mm-hmm.
So, uh, that's how I would like, do solution.
Okay.
Well, use cases. Well, they are the they have like preconditions and post conditions. So, uh, what would happen if I click a button, like search button on the Google? So that would be a post condition, and what would the precondition would be like the site should be able to open up. And,
Okay.
and it is a methodology to clarify and organize requirement
Mm-hmm.
and the set of possible events that would occur due to certain interactions with the system. Possible outcomes, possible interactions.
Okay.
And as a business analyst, we can make business uh, requirements documents, use user requirements and functional requirement documents. I'm comfortable with those. Like functional ones contain more of a like the system shall do this or system shall work like this kind of a format.
Mm-hmm.
And the business requirements consist mostly the capability of the project. Like what should the system work and how should the like what should the system do? And the functional ones, the functional requirement explains how the system would work. Uh, Other than that, I would be in BRD. So I'd be checking the requirements scope, the stakeholder requirements. Uh, as a BA, I would also uh, make requirement traceability matrix. Uh, it is used for testing purposes. So like how uh, the certain requirement is mapped to a test is mapped to the uh, certain requirement and how it fulfills that requirement. That is checked in RTM. So that are all the documents I would create.
Okay. So here is the feedback. Like I said to someone that um, write the questions and the answers, form proper sentences, go through those answers two,
Okay.
three times, and then we can uh, judge whether it's working or not. I mean, you need some improvement. I mean, probably you know the answers, but the framing of sentences are not happening and the keywords are missing. So that's my feedback.
Okay.
So I want it to be
Okay.
improved by the next mock.
Okay. And when would that be?
I'll intimate uh, Mohammed or Jyoti about it. Probably next
Okay.
week we will be having.
Okay.
Okay, so who is left now? Okay, yeah, Palash. Help me with your experience. Mm-hmm. 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 Okay. Mm-hmm. 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 Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay, fair enough. Mm-hmm. 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 And why do we need RISI? To conduct stakeholder analysis. Mm-hmm. 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 Okay. Mm-hmm. 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 Okay. UML. Mm-hmm. Okay, fair enough. It was good. Only thing is that your answers were very short. You need to do the same activity like I suggested. You have to write it down, elaborate your answers. Otherwise, concepts wise, it is good, but it was really short. Okay, anyone else left out? I think I covered everyone.
Yes.
Okay. Did I missed anyone? Jayashree, you there?
Hello.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, Jayashree.
Hello. Yeah. Hi. Hi. Yeah.
Okay, help me with your
Uh,
experience.
Actually, I'm a fresher, so
Mm-hmm.
just completed my education
Okay,
in CS. Yeah.
okay, not an issue.
Yeah. So, as you know, that I don't have a prior experience, but during my studies, I have been like going through the software engineering subject. So when I was reading that, most of people thought that it is a theoretical, but I somehow got attracted to the diagrams and the way you think that. I mean, everyone wants to create a code or logic, but I want to know that what is the process from which we create something. So that's why, and then I got to know that BA does the same. That you start thinking about any project that you will get, and you will create diagram, you will create some kind of documentation, and then you will create that code and logic, and you will do the testing by them. So it's very important to have a clear documentation or clear understanding of project. So that's why I got, I feel like that I can be a good PA.
Okay,
That's why I want to become a PA. Yeah.
okay, fair enough.
Interface like we using Java or I'm not sure what.
Okay, interface could be anything. It could be a middleware system. It could be a UI.
Okay. So for me, Agile is like uh, interaction with, like, we interact with people and processes and tools,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like how to to get the knowledge about a project, and then you will talk with stakeholders and with PM, I guess. So you will create a process for the project and kind of thing.
Okay.
And you plan for those projects and how to achieve that what we want from the project. So
Okay.
so okay, can you explain the user registration fee? So yeah, so in that case, like if we want to register on any e-commerce site, so we need obviously the first name or last name, which is like compulsory for for pagination over on any site or anywhere. So of course we need name, and so we will create like user login. So we will create a user login model, and then it will be like login ID and then password and sign in, and of course there will be a forgot password function as well. So we will create that kind of small use case diagram. So the scope used, I'm sorry, I have to make a scope.
Okay.
I think so.
Mm-hmm.
So it's mean that how you design your input for the product development,
Yes.
like in, like you design for the basic thing, like you design DFDs or use cases, the UML diagrams. So it, they will like create a kind of graphical representation or a very clear vision for the product development, that what would be give to the system and what can be expected from the system.
Okay. Okay. You need some preparation, Jayashree.
Hello.
Yeah, I'm saying you need
Yeah.
some preparation. What I'm doing is I'm sending you all a list of 100 questions. Solve this 100 questions. Uh, don't solve 100 question individually. Divide this question amongst yourselves. Solve 4-5 questions. And I think in this questions I have also indicated the complexity level as well.